the ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
I cannot lie, even as a Phillies fan, I cannot tell a fib. The number 2, the greatest professional athlete to ever wear the number 2, was of course Derek Jeter, first ballot Hall of Famer, 396 out of 397 votes for the Hall of Fame, that first ballot. The only guy that voted against him was some guy from San Diego, so we don't count that. But first, let's focus on why the number 2. That's as in 2 days until striped bass season opens up outback in the Garden State. Thursday, February 26th, that means the 27th, the 28th, and then Saturday is March 1st. I'm Jim Hutchinson with a New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine, and I'm here at the Atlantic City Boat Show. I'm standing in front of a beautiful Valhalla boat. But I will not be out on the sod banks this weekend because I'm always here at the Atlantic City Boat Show when our back bay striped bass season opens. Slowly but surely, the bait and tackle shops of New Jersey are spinning that open sign around towards the street, opening up the shops, and of course stocking all those bloodworms. It is certainly the best bait in town as we head into this weekend with striped bass west of the coal regs. Now, we've run down the shops throughout the winter with the bloodworms available for perch fishing, but again, everywhere from Bayonne down the Raritan Bay shore, the front beaches of Monmouth, Ocean, Atlantic, and Cape May County, all the way down to Higbee's in Fortescue. Everybody's going to be carrying bloodworms. That's up around the bend of the Delaware River as well, because bloodworms are certainly the most effective bait when you're targeting those back bay stripers. Now, the middle of this week, our back bay temperatures, water temperatures, are still on the cold side, 30s, mid-30s, upper 30s. We put ourselves back to where we were in 2024. Water temperatures were a lot higher, so it was bedlam from the start. But for sure, it'd be nice to see those water temperatures start to creep up into the 40s, because I think that's when we're going to start seeing a better bite. Plenty of sunny days it would be good. It doesn't even matter so much the air temperature. The more sun, the better. But plenty of locations, you would think, facing north on the Raritan Bay shore, for example, you're going to have a good bite along those sedges, sod banks, the bay shore. But what I always like to focus on is being on the north side of a particular river, right? So you can expect early season stripers in the Manasquan, the Navesink, the Toms, the Mullica, the Great Egg, on down to Fortescue. But bringing up those water temperatures, if you think about that sun, you know, if I'm facing to the south here at the Atlantic City Convention Center and the sun goes east to west, you're seeing more of that sun in the southern sky. That means it's going to warm the waters over on the north banks of any river you're fishing. So I think that becomes the better location. It's not to say if you're on the south side of the Mullica or on the south side of the Great Egg, you're not going to catch some fish. But again, these winter over striped bass are lethargic, they're hungry, they're coming up on the sedges and sod banks in those shallow waters to feed. And they're going to be feeding on some of those softer baits, hence the bloodworms. Muddier bottom also does better, because if you think about shallower water at low tide, that sun that we're talking about on that southern exposure, it's going to warm the shallow waters up a little bit more, but a muddy bottom soaks up the sun as well. So that in turn becomes an insulator, a heater. As the water starts to rise, those north banks are going to warm up a little bit quicker. And again, think about a southerly wind, a prevailing south, that blows some of the surface water from the south to the north. So again, you get some more of that warmer water on that north shore of whatever salty river you're on. Bloodworms threaded on an inline circle hook with a bait holder style hook, 5.0 or 6.0 should suffice. So you can put those on a 3-way rig, or you can do your standard high-low, maybe even a pill float. Folks ask all the time about the bait holder style inline circle hooks required for bloodworms. Right now, what I know of, Eagle Claw's got them and Jigging World's got them. The folks up at Rochelle Park, up at Tackle World, they've got bloodworms, I understand, but that's where you'll find some of those Jigging World. They are called the Z-Blades. They're made just for this type of fishery, so keep an eye out on that. It's a dead stick waiting game for the most part. You're bringing out your bait and your tackle in a bucket. You've got your bloodworms. You've got a couple of sand spikes, and you're just sitting along the sod bank waiting for a score. The cool thing with March stripers, some holdover fish, those first fish we catch, usually have a gold or a bronze color. That's because they've been holding over in some of the, especially the tannic waters of the great egg or the mullica. So you have this bronze, this golden color. Those first sea run fish that we get, when the water temperatures get up into the 40s and even the 50s, that's when you'll see some of those silvery striped bass, the ones with sea lice. They're the first ones that come in. If you choose to keep a striper, of course, we are at one fish, 28 to 31 inches. Shorts and overs, you must release them as quickly as possible. If you enjoy contests and you plan on keeping one, there are several local tackle shops throughout the region. They will be holding opening day striper tournaments. I know Sportsman's, the Absecon Bay Sportsman Center, Dave always does that. Spoke to Andy at Riptide and Brigantine this week. He also mentioned that his spring derby is underway again as of March 1st. I don't know if Andy's back from Florida, but his staff is going to be working. And again, open beaches, out front, inshore waters, out 3 miles. There's no striper closure. And we're not going to see one this year either. We've been talking about that for a while. There's no striper closure coming in 2025. So you're at one fish bag limit, 28 to 31 inches. In the back bays, in the west of the coal regs, the inlets, back bays, salty rivers, creeks, all those areas now open. It's a great time to get the kids out. That's the one time that my daughter Samantha has enjoyed getting out, sitting on a bucket, waiting for a bite, and even if it's a small fish, it's a great time. So get those kids out there, look for the sunnier days especially, but we are on. And don't forget, March 20th is actually the first day of spring, but as far as I'm concerned, the March 1st opening of striped bass and winter flounder, that is the opening of spring here at the Jersey Shore. A unicorn of sorts, winter flounder, but again, you have that 2 fish bag limit. That's in place as of this weekend as well. One of the first spots that we start hearing about winter flounder being caught in the Shark River. You can get your bloodworms over there in Belmar at Fisherman's Den. Those guys can hook you up as well. Smaller hooks, the Chestertown style hooks, smaller hooks, yellow beads for attractant, lots of chum. Even if you're fishing from a bulkhead, if you slip the skiff out there and along those edges, you can do that. Lots of chum, cans of corn. A tasty blackback or two is certainly the way to go. So, back here in Atlantic City, this show has been going on, I believe, over 100 years. I remember my grandparents from Ocean City taking me to the show when I was just a young tyke. But this show has gotten bigger and badder every single year. In fact, the folks here at Viking and Valhalla, they introduced a brand new Valhalla Bay boat a few years ago at this show. And if you think about that, the fact that a New Jersey boat maker is going to come out and say, we're launching our new boat, not in Miami, not in Fort Lauderdale, here in Atlantic City. So it's a pretty big deal. It's a big enough deal that the Fisherman magazine has 2 booths. As soon as you walk into the marketplace, you'll see booth 143. And then at the west end of the marketplace, across from Fanatics, where they have their kayak pool, to where our seminars are going on, booth 726 this week. Come see us. In fact, we have the March edition of the Fisherman magazine, and we have some pliers. I'll tell you about that in a second. But first, let me tell you about the seminars. Thursday lineup today includes Captain Greg Kudnick fishing with electronics, tuna fishing how-to with Phil from Goose Hummock, Captains Peter Clark and Tom Daffin on New Jersey wreck fishing and some jumbo tog. That's followed by Captain Jim Frieda and the fall striper blitzes by boat. Friday, it's Captain Adam Nowalski for another take on sea bass and tog. Phil from Goose Hummock with his daily dose of tuna. Co-Win, talking sheep's head. And Jeff Folk, he talks up the Argo app for fishing. Now, Saturday's a big day for us here in Atlantic City. It's always the biggest day of the show. We're kicking off the seminar lineup at 11 a.m. this Saturday morning, talking about offshore wind, industrial offshore wind, and its impacts on recreational and commercial fishing, because we've got some folks sitting on the panel discussion. Captains Greg Kudnick and Bob Rush. We have Megan Lapp talking about the commercial aspect. Robin Schaefer of Protect Our Coast. We also have a very special guest this Saturday. State Senator Vince Palestina is going to be here so he can address it from the legislative angle. That is Saturday morning at 11, industrial offshore wind and how it's going to impact fishing. We've also invited anglers for offshore wind who are big proponents of offshore wind. They declined our offer. Go figure. Also on Saturday, let's run through this, shall we? Jumbo Blackfish with Frank Mahalik, South Jersey Sheepshead with Captain Danny Schaefer, the Goose Hummock Tuna Talk. Then we clear things out for a cast net demo with Captain Frank Crescitelli's going to show you how to throw pancakes. So if you want to learn how to throw a cast net, come on and join us on Saturday night. We've got a full lineup on Sunday as well. Make sure you check out the lineup. I'm going to finish things off sometime Sunday afternoon. We've got Sunday Trolling Motor Tactics with Captain Brett Taylor. Again, more tuna. Captain Eric Kerber, he talks pot, hop, and mahi. And if I can get my computer working again, we're going to be talking about the Northeast Striped Bass study. You can get tickets for this show in advance at acboatshow.com. I believe you save some money. And don't forget your new and renewing subscription, the Fisherman Magazine, at either booth, 143 or 726. We have 400 sets of Danko pliers to give out to you folks that are getting your new and renewing subscriptions. So make sure you get here early.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Open Boat. I am here on a boat at the Atlantic City Boat Show. Now what we're going to do on this week's Open Boat is we're going to run through everything you can see here, from boats to tackle shops to the one and only Fisherman Magazine and boating safety. This show is worth the drive. Premier boating show, and we're going to show you the ropes, so let's go. Look at this, guys. They rolled out the red carpet for me. Just kidding. It's the 42-foot HCB. This boat here, if you want to get to the canyon fast, you can. There's so much stuff here. You got 3 600s paired on the back. You have a TV right here and a kitchen. You can make pork leg and cheeses in the morning as you're heading out to the Hudson, and you'll get there in the blink of an eye. This thing is an absolute tank. I mean, it's still going. I'm still moving up here. You got a beautiful, oh my God, I'm blown away. Honestly, I might just stay down here the entire time. Just this boat alone is a big reason on why you should come to the Atlantic City Boat Show. I mean, my birthday is this Friday, and this may or may not be on my birthday wish list. So if you come on Friday, you know, take a look at this boat and keep me in mind. Featured at the show also is this new 2025 Robalo. It's an excellent fishing machine out here. I want one, don't you? For your eyes only, the V29 Valhalla, new at the Atlantic City Boat Show. Check out this absolute beaut of a boat. It has a ton of features, including a seat keeper for your buddies who get seasick. So if you really want to flex your beautiful boat, put on the seat keeper for your seasick buddies, because this boat is definitely sick. Everyone's buddy, Buddy Davis, is here with a beautiful 34-footer paired with 2 V8 Yamahas on the back. But let's take attention to detail here. The flare in the Buddy Davis with its beautiful boat design. You have a wood cut finish, and you have wood featured throughout the boat, making it that old-timey look and a premier fishing and luxury vessel. Run longer with more comfort with Cape Horn. And they have front and center this beautiful giant fleet of the 36XS Cape Horn here. Imagine you're rolling up tournament fishing on this beast of a boat. Awesome, and it's here at the Atlantic City Boat Show. Now, I'm not a fair weather fisherman, and on this north coast, foul weather is not a thing, because you have this beautiful pilot house, and I have a spot right here perched up where I can quick hit some tog while the snow is falling down. Another great feature for me, being the blackfish nerd, is you have cushions right here. So when you're leaned up against the side, you have comfort. And even better, when you're cutting crabs, you can wash your hands in the sink. Here we are at Steiger on a beautiful Steiger here. First off, looking at the floor, Nautiva did this awesome inlay of the floor. You have rulers here for all your big fish, and then look at this. You have little bins for your sinkers. How cool is that? And check out this awesome pilot house, guys. Let's go in. Stepping inside the pilot house of this 2024 31 Miami Steiger, you have a ton of comfort in here. You can sit here or back here on the ride out. You got cup holders. You have more of that Nautiva inlay on a little table here. Giant Simrad screen for your radar, or your tracks, and everything. And another big flex with Steiger Craft is if you subscribe to the Fisherman Magazine, you get entered into the Dreamboat Challenge, where you have a chance to win a Steiger. And these boats are just awesome, so why not subscribe? Tying in family and fishing, those are two very important F's here. We have one more important F, and that's fin seeker. Fin seeker has combined all three of those F's into this beautiful fin seeker boat here. You have dual console, you have seats in the back and the front for your kids to hang out in. You have a little kitchen set, but you still have plenty of room to fish with your family, relax with your family, and have a great day out there on the water. Switching off to the life of luxury when you're fishing, something I really like about this cutwater is you can fish literally right here. I have a little handrail, I could jig off the back of it. Keep moving forward to the front of this boat. You can troll, you can grill, you can hang out right here, and then inside the pilot house there's even more. Continuing on inside the cutwater with this life of luxury, you can live in here in the summer. If you're an everyday fisherman, you don't have to go home. Tables, underneath you have beds, you have another little mini kitchen. Honestly, why have a house when you have a cutwater? Be sure to stop by Marine Max to check out all of their sailfish boats. The one I'm on right here was the 2024 Boat of the Year. Fishing, family, all that, it's got it. It's got a nice live well, tons of seating, and tons of spots for fishing. So definitely check out all the sailfish boats here at Marine Max. So I'm not a big fan of cats, but the only cats I like are World Cat boats here at the Atlantic City Boat Show. Totally honored here to be showing off Jersey Pride with the Henriquez, sitting here with Miss Henriquez herself. Henriquez has been probably the most popular charter boat in this series. The 44 is a classic. I've fished on many of them, and I know you guys do too. Check them out at the Atlantic City Boat Show. Oh, I got so much sand on my hands, guys. Look what I just made. Taking a little break here on this beautiful Nautic Star. It's a great back bay boat. We have back bay striper season opening up very soon, and fluking, and you want to go crabbing in the back bays or clamming. This Nautic Star is for you. Check it out at the boat show. Over 150 years in the biz, we have Chris Craft, and we're going to check out their Catalina. So hurry up, we're going to go. Keep me on your toes here with the Fisherman Magazine Open Boat Special. Wow, this is really nice. Nice little center console here with dual screens. The Catalina 28. You can fish off the back. You know, I like to live my life a little dangerously. You'll find me out here jigging because sometimes the boat can be a little bit of a mess. So I have my own little personal space back here, but you have luxury seating up at the front. Beautiful vessel, and check out why Chris Craft has been in the biz for over 150 years. So here at Pioneer Boats, you know the old Jaws quote, you're going to need a bigger boat. You don't need a bigger boat with Pioneer. They make excellent boats in all different ranges of sizes. This beautiful center console here with the seat that I'm sitting on, check this out. Angle cooler featured in the bottom right here. So you got an angle cooler and a lifetime hull warranty. And hey, look at that. It's got a bottle opener so you can crack some cold ones with your boys after you're back from a fishing trip. Guys, check out this Edgewater. Wait a minute, I'm up here. Now I'm up here. Keep going, keep going. Here I am, all the way at the top of this awesome Edgewater. This is a wicked fishing boat. Sightseeing for tunas out here. I can see all the boats here at the Atlantic City Boat Show. So check out this Edgewater. Not only are there boats here at the Atlantic City Boat Show, you have aisles and aisles of great products like boat lettering. There's a ton of safety companies here that everyone should have on their boats. Jewelry, you have artwork, tackle shops, everything. You name it, they have it here at the Atlantic City Boat Show. And we're gonna go check out the Fisherman Magazine, not one, but 2 booths. Of course, at the boat show, we have excellent seminars hosted by yours truly, the Fisherman Magazine. Right now, we got the boy, Jim Hutchinson, doing an awesome seminar, but we have more all weekend long. If you want Saturday at 12:30, come to my seminar. You don't want to miss out on that. And we have a ton of more awesome ones to follow. Not just boats here, like I said, we have Goose Hummock and many other tackle shops here, but Goose has a casting tank where you can showcase a ton of different lures that you can buy here and watch yourselves. We're doing 3D. We're throwing a spook. Check this out. So you can watch the action of a lure before you buy it at Goose Hummock, only at the Atlantic City Boat Show. Come out this weekend. You know, I'm an artsy girl and I really appreciate great art, and we have Marco here at Rusty Anchor. He makes all these handmade, beautiful nautical decor for your house, and I know for a fact that this tuna here is coming home with me. Dropping double anchors down is easy with the 260 Admiral with the second station here. Come on and step on board and I'll show you more features. So another thing that I noticed while I'm in here is the sound. I don't hear anything on the outside. So that means when you're running and you stay in there, you're not going to hear the engines running. So you can take a nice nap in the morning before you get out to the Blackfish grounds or wherever you're going to catch some fish. For you guys that are surf fishermen that want a good beach buggy, check this out. The Ineos Grenadier. This is, I stepped in it and I'm in love with this thing. This thing's a tank. After all the boats we just saw, switching it up to a prime beach buggy, forget your Tesla trucks. Get yourself one of these. Okay guys, that's a wrap, but the AC Boat Show does run till this Sunday. So make sure you come to the Fisherman Magazine booth, subscribe to the magazine, and get yourself a pair of Danko pliers with the pliers sheath that can clip onto your belt. What a steal. And be sure to check out the March edition of the Fisherman Magazine for not one, but 2 articles by yours truly. And if you come to my seminar, the rod I talk about in the article will be there. So hopefully I'll see you guys at the AC Boat Show.
We have our 6th annual stock-up event on March 2nd from 10 to 2. We have some great deals, raffles, as well as local vendors and pro staff members on site, and a free food truck. Stop on by.
Cabin Fever sale is back March 14th and 15th in the shop here and online March 16th through 18th. Huge savings, huge selection, phenomenal seminars. You don't want to miss it.
Now, you do have another shot at the pliers this Sunday in Asbury Park. That's the Asbury Park Fishing Plug Show. It's the 32nd annual. Head out there. It's at the Berkeley Oceanfront Hotel. That's directly across the street from the convention center where it used to be held. It runs from 9 to 2. Admission is $5. The Fisherman Magazine's Jenni Ackerman's going to be there doing subscriptions. We have 40 sets of pliers for this Sunday. So you want to get to that booth early, go see Jenni, get your set up for pliers. Now, when you're done with that show, it's a 9-minute drive west on Sunset Avenue to Fisherman's Source at 3501 Sunset Avenue in Ocean Township, Sunday, March 3rd, from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. It's what we talked about last week. It's their 6th annual stock-up event. They've got raffles, food truck, local vendors, and of course, deep discounts throughout the store. So if you're looking for wall hanging plugs over at Asbury Park, you want to get some fish hanging plugs like the Azuris and the Tsunamis, head out over there. Magic Tail Docks, I saw them on the pegboard as well when I was at Fisherman's Source. But you want to get there, gulp, jigs, reels, rods, whatever you need. Savings start at 10%, but I hear they've got savings up to 80% this Sunday in Ocean Township. Now, from Atlantic City to Asbury Park, Jenni and John and I are carrying around a hot off the presses edition of the Fisherman Magazine. That's our March edition. That's out this week. If you want to get a free copy, see us in Asbury Park or come down and see us at one of the booths in Atlantic City. Derek Fredrickson is on the cover. That was I believe that was a 2024 spring striper on bloodworm, a monster from up the Delaware River. Hopefully we'll have another good run in 2025 and perhaps maybe a better recruitment class, a better Young of the Year class of striped bass after the spawn. Go to that glossy section, the table of contents. You'll see what we've got in there. Dave Anderson's continuing plug building series. A rod building how-to from Jenni to kind of finish it off with some decorative wraps. John Raguso's repowering tutorial. Also a Christian Awe feature on how to get invited back on your friend's boat. If you're heading out in a Valhalla and you don't get invited back, you did something wrong. Christian's going to help you not do anything wrong. And also a travel log, head out to Tanaku Lodge with the fish guy himself, Chris Paparo. When you turn inside the inside edition of the March edition of the Fisherman Magazine out this week, you'll find an article by Captain Brett Taylor, Light Tackle Approach to Back Bay Fishing. He's in Barnegat Bay, but it works down here in behind Atlantic City, in Little Bay, in Absecon Bay, Great Bay, all those bays in New Jersey. Great time of year in the spring to get into some of those striped bass. We also have a look at what's underwater along the front beaches throughout the season. Professor John Tiedemann with some cool photography by Angry Fish Gallery's Tom Lynch. Page 30, Surf Sense, the ultimate surfcaster's kit from Nicholas Simioli. I mentioned that article earlier in an image because there's some advice in that article about those spring stripers. Plus, Jenni's got a spotlight on Point Pleasant Beach. You can go head out onto New Jersey's west coast, probably sometime later in March. People ask me what I mean by New Jersey's west coast. That's the Delaware River. And the shad run. George, Nick Honicheski, and I were out for shad with Tim Keebler, a Fish Seeker Guide Service. We've got that article there as well. It won't be too long at this point getting the first shad reports of the season. They typically happen middle third week of March. And as soon as we get that arriving, of course, when there's shad around, you're also going to get some herring as well, which of course that brings in the ospreys and the laughing gulls and the sounds of spring. I just can't wait. Reels screaming, that's another sound of spring. Now, there is still some ice out there. Some folks are telling me they think the ice in northwest Jersey and out into the Poconos should sustain into March. Austin Rybacke of Ramsey spent his 30th birthday weekend ice fishing with family and friends on Sunday, landed this trophy muskie, 10-pound braid, 12-pound fluoro, and hoisted this sucker up through the ice. Muskie wasn't the target species, but he battled that through the ice. It took him 30 minutes just to get it up through the ice. Easily tapped out the 30-pound lip gripper scale. The guy who helped him there to get it through that hole in the ice was Zach Teichler of West Milford. He and Austin estimated this at 51, 52 inches. Thanks for the tip, Chris and Bob DiPietri, on that spectacular fish. For more on ice conditions and the tri-state freshwater rundown, let's head west. Check in with George Schauer, our Pocono Outdoors guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. Kind of feels like spring out here in the Poconos, much different than it's been the past several weeks. Matter of fact, we had some of the guys checking in prior to this warm front when they were able to get out on the ice. We had Jay Batcha check in. He was fishing up in northeastern Pennsylvania. Well, he managed to get himself on a really nice batch of crappie fishing up there through the ice, and kind of the same thing down in South Jersey. We had Paul Seward. He was out doing the same thing, a little bit of crappie fishing through the ice. Just good table fare and a great way to spend a day. Also right here in Beltsville, we had our good friend Josh Taylor. He was out doing some catfishing, believe it or not, through the ice. Not something you typically think of, but a great fight through the ice just as well. But guys, I'll tell you, the water is warming up, but we're starting to see things. You know, we still may have 8 inches of ice, but the problem is you can't get to it. You probably have 6, 8, 10, 12 feet of clear water before you get to that ice. So you can't even get out on that thick ice to fish it. So our ice fishing season may be very short-lived here, depending on how this warm front goes over the next several days. But the good news is we're already getting into March, so the open water season is just around the corner. As a matter of fact, our good friend Tim Keebler, he was out in the Delaware getting one of his friends, Tyler, out on some of those late season walleyes. Something else to think about this time of year, maybe even some smallmouth. You know, it won't be too much longer, probably another 2 weeks with our fingers crossed. We'll start hearing of some shad getting picked up in the Delaware River. It's always an exciting time of year, and we all look forward to that season. So we'll keep our ear to the ground and eyes on the water temperature there. Hopefully it moves up into the 40s really quick. And in a couple weeks, we'll be talking about shad and getting your pictures right here as well. Guys, it's warming up. Be sure you get out and get on them. But from Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
In the famed waters of Panama awaits a fishing experience like no other. Tropic Star Lodge welcomes anglers to get in on world-famous fishing action. Plan your perfect trip today. Tropic Star Lodge, the ultimate in fishing adventures for more than 60 years.
For you sensitive stomachs out there, we're going to stuff some fish sausages right now, okay? First of all, next Thursday, March 6th, the New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council will meet at the Stafford Township Firehouse. That's at 133 Stafford Avenue in Manahawkin. The March meeting scheduled closer to the midway point of New Jersey. If you fold Sandy Hook to Cape May, the halfway point is Brant Beach on LBI. So they typically try to move this important meeting. This is usually where everything gets hammered out with fluke and black sea bass. This year, there's no real change to speak of. We'll learn next Thursday. Perhaps the black sea bass day start and end might shift. I don't think so. And again, our fluke limits are going to be the same as last year as well, 3 at 18. Look for a May 4th start all the way through September 25th. Yes, you get that special discount down on the Delaware Bay shore. Yes, you also get that at Island Beach State Park. But I'll tell you what, this is a big meeting because in addition to being status quo, which is good news, the big news is for the first time in the entire 7 years plus that Governor Phil Murphy has been the king of New Jersey, all the seats on the New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council are filled up. We know that John Tiedemann, he finally got on board for the last meeting. Well, congratulations to Greg Hewitt of the Big Mohawk. The Senate Judiciary Committee approved Greg last week, and finally, we've got this. And like I said, King Phil has 10 months left in his time here. But I mean, this is great because James Alexis left the council in 2019. That was the replacement for John Tiedemann, and it took all these years for Greg Hewitt to take over a Sergio Ridosi seat, which was left in 2020. It's a critically important time of year to have all hands on deck at the New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council. I've been talking to a lot of them in the last week, talking to different fisheries managers. But from a management perspective, I've been talking about this meeting this past Tuesday for weeks. That was the sector separation discussion. That was a webinar between the ASMFC, Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission, and Mid-Atlantic Fishery Management Council. Let's talk about what this scoping document does. So it was a joint meeting, ASMFC, Mid-Atlantic Council, and scoping is the very first discussion to kind of run something up the flagpole, if you will. So here's what was being considered. They talked about, one, breaking the recreational fishing sector into two subsets, the private angler and the for hire community, which is kind of scary to think about as well. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But the other component was getting a different form of data collection, possibly, for recreational anglers. You know that we're like surveyed at random. So one of the discussions was having us do some mandatory collection of data. So every time we're out fishing, we're gonna have to keep a note, or maybe we're gonna open up our phone and put it in the app. For hire boats now who fish beyond 3 miles for scup, porgy, black sea bass, summer flounder, and bluefish, they have to get a federal permit to do that. Any captain, 6-pack captain, head boat, you have got to get this permit. In turn, you use an electronic vessel trip report. So you're actually coming back every single day and talking about everything that you caught, who was on board, all of that. They do this electronically, so if NOAA Fisheries has information that says the for hire folks in the recreational community, they're not fishing as hard or catching as many fish as the private angler, that's the concept of this sector separation. Now, what I learned the other night, Tuesday's meeting, I asked the question, NOAA Fisheries isn't using all of this EVTR data in their management. They only use the effort portion and not actually what is caught. So how many people are fishing, but not what they actually caught? So in turn, that EVTR data is not being used to its fullest potential. The other thing I found out in asking questions is the angler registry. That's the reason why we have a free angler registry that started in 2010, 2011. That's so NOAA Fisheries can only survey people who are registered, right? That's the idea, to simplify it. Found out the other night that they're still sending random surveys, some random surveys, to coastal phone books. So I think until they integrate all this data, improve all this data, what I heard the other night is that folks were saying, if you don't fix this data, this is not the time to talk about breaking the recreational community into two parts. Now, there's no coastal state in the entire country that doesn't have an angler registry. So this component needs to be updated. I think what we're gonna have to find out, let's take a look at the timeline here, right? The timeline is this. You've got this section of time where they're discussing this scoping, and then sometime later on in the spring, that scoping and that public feedback will get sent into the ASMFC and Mid-Atlantic Council for discussion, and then they're going to continue to come out, and then maybe next year sometime they're going to look for all these loose fragments and put everything together, so maybe in 2026 then we have a more serious discussion. But if you haven't participated in this first session, the one that was held on Tuesday, and this is something that you find troubling, I would encourage you to go to thefisherman.com, look up this sector separation article, or pick up the March edition. I have an editor's log called Separation Anxiety, which then goes to a news brief all about this. You could find out about the next meeting, you can listen yourself to what they're proposing, and then you can chime in on that. So it's one of these things where, as I mentioned, it's important to have all the Marine Fisheries Council members in place, because this is some heavy-duty stuff that we are talking about. So again, keep an eye on that. Get full details in the February edition of the Fisherman magazine, and make sure you weigh in on that. I'm going to finish off with one more thing, going back to King Murphy. So if you're a King Murphy fan, I apologize, but this is what we're going to talk about. See, I just found out last week, or earlier this week, that at the Miami Boat Show, Governor DeSantis was at the Miami Boat Show, and he says, I'm going to lower your taxes, we're going to lower the boat sale taxes, and everybody's going to be happy because boating is so important to Florida. And I think that's pretty cool. I've walked the floor today, and Governor Murphy's not here. Instead, this is something that Governor Murphy just announced this week, and I want you to think about this, and if any of the boat dealers hear this, they're going to go nuts. He wants to repeal the 3.5% boat tax, the boat sale rate, and the $20,000 total tax cap. Now, if you think about this, this was years in the making. And what it did was, when you had a 3.5 sales percent cap, and you had a $20,000 boat cap, what it did is it encouraged more people to buy boats and register boats in the state of New Jersey. Now that Florida is doing this, can you imagine if more people are going to Delaware or Maryland or Florida to buy and register their boats? It's going to hamper the boat sales. It's going to hamper your ability. You're going to have to pay more taxes depending on the boat you get, and Valhalla is a big difference, but I've also got a Contender Bay boat right over here, and I'm sure that this boat is going to qualify then under Murphy's plan for you to have to pay more taxes. So we're going to be paying attention to this, because it is a troubling aspect that this was years in the making to lower the tax on what you paid for a brand new boat, so you wouldn't go register it out of state. But in Governor Murphy's new budget, he seems like he's taken another one out of our hides. We will pay attention to this. I'm going to see State Senator Palestina on Saturday for that wind panel workshop. Maybe I'll bring it up with him, see if there are other legislators who want to fight this plan. Come see us in Atlantic City. Come talk to the boat dealers. Come look at these beautiful boats that are on sale, and make sure you stop and see us. 143, 726. Get your Danco pliers, and make sure you join us back in the seminar stage. If you're not with us, well, I expect you're striper fishing, so catch them up. And I'll see you again next week right here at The Fisherman and thefisherman.com.